What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex. In this video, I want to talk about Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. You know, it's been a very, very long time since I've talked about it, and also just since we've seen it, and it just kind of came up in my mind talking about what's going to be the plan here. What should we be expecting over the next little while? Obviously, we haven't gotten anything, and you could, I guess, argue as to why. I think for a while we were talking about kind of that Hogwarts Legacy effect. Actually, even before that, we were talking about Gotham Knights, right, where maybe it's like a one at a time kind of mentality, especially when it comes to DC things. And you also have to throw in Wonder Woman, and then it's like, does Wonder Woman not say anything or show anything until Suicide Squad comes out? Now, you got the date. You got the date for Suicide Squad, so that's definitely something you can look at and circle in your calendar, and it's actually a part of a very, very busy late January, early February period. Suicide Squad, I believe, was maybe even the first game to put its date, in that time frame, and then all of a sudden, you got 8 other games that are now coming out around the same time. Not that all the games are the exact same, and that's definitely something we'll talk about as it gets closer. I wouldn't fear for like the sales or the reception for Suicide Squad because that Persona or games like that are coming out around it. I don't think that really matters, but you do have to think, okay, well, it comes out in the beginning of February, so in terms of this roadmap, what are we doing? Now, my prediction is, at least now, maybe it's actually changed, I don't even remember what I said a few months back, I think they might be waiting until the last possible second. We've seen it with Spider-Man and God of War and a lot of the Sony properties, but it is actually, I would say, a semi-common theme in the gaming industry in the last couple of years, 3-4 years, to wait until kind of the last second to start unveiling and showing everything. Now, here's the thing, though. Suicide Squad, I do believe, is in a pretty unique, not necessarily in a good way, but it's in a unique situation where they have to win people over without scaring people too much. And we've talked about some of that kind of balance there where I think they need to show more, but it's like, what do you show? Because if you show something that people are going to flip out about, whether you agree with it or not, honestly, that's kind of separate. If the internet's furious at it, whether you agree that the internet should be furious, that's kind of separate. But if you show too much of the game or you show a certain thing that maybe upsets people, then what's going to happen, from there? So they really are, I think, it's a tough situation for number one, and for sure. And number two, it's like, what do you actually show? Do you show story stuff? You got to show the gameplay again, right? Because the gameplay is actually, I would argue, well, you know what? We've gotten a lot of like cinematic trailers, so I don't know if we've seen more of gameplay than anything else, maybe 50-50. But we did get a pretty okay look at gameplay and how it'll function and the kind of game that this actually is, which has scared people, right? So you have to, I think, show that again, because some people are going to be expecting that it changed, and it probably is not going to change, right? We've talked about that. But some people want it to change, some people expect it to change, some people maybe don't, and they're going to see it, and then they're going to have that reaction. So there's plenty to show. I honestly believe you kind of have to do a complete revamp and just re-show everything. And that's kind of what we've talked about in the past. I think you do one more trailer, because really, if you lean back on Rocksteady's main, I think strength, at least even current time, it still can be, is the storytelling, is the characters. You show Batman maybe again, you show the Justice League, you do whatever you got to do, right? Maybe that wins people over, but you still have to show the gameplay and how the game works. And also, not like putting it right out in our face and I guess saying like, hey, here's why we delayed the game for an entire year, right? I'm not saying that, but I do think subconsciously, right, we all know that this game was supposed to come out late May. They waited until the last second to formally announce the delay, right? They waited, I believe, until either April or even May itself, okay? So that's extremely, extremely late. So yes, they don't just come out and say, hey, did you wonder why we delayed our game for like 10 months? Well, here, we'll show you. They're not going to say that. But I think everybody, including them, we all know you kind of have to almost do that. You kind of have to say, okay, why did we do this? Why did we go away? Why have we been so quiet about it? Why did we make the decision to delay it when we showed you so much at that state of play? We showed you a ton. It was a complete overview of both the story kind of elements and the gameplay elements. They did everything. And then a few weeks later, the rumor started circulating that the game was going to be delayed, right? So why the sudden change? you have to kind of show us that, but you show us that in the footage, in the new footage. It's, oh, okay, oh, this has changed. That looks improved. That looks different. Oh, that's why they delayed the game. So that's a big, like, to me, that is a really big part of this, where once they show it, it's not only winning people back or winning people over entirely, it's also, okay, well, why was this game pushed? Can we locate those things in the new footage that they're going to show? But also, again, how they approach it, because I really think as the time ticks here, you're not going to do anything, I believe at least, in October, in November. You might do something, say, for the Game Awards, because they got that Jeff Keighley connection several times. It's very close. The Game Awards is like December 10th area. The game is I think February 2nd or so, right? So that's actually less than 2 months away. And then the tough thing, too, is you got to think about, like, scheduling. I've talked about this actually a lot on my channel. The second half of December, normally, like, developers leave. Developers go on Christmas break, even the beginning of January. So you honestly have to imagine from maybe, like, December 18th to January 6th or so, like a good 2.5, 3 weeks, depending on the studio, they're gone. So you're not seeing anything, right? You'll get that Christmas message, that Christmas tweet that the community manager had like pre-scheduled, right? You'll get that, but you're not going to get anything major until that second week, let's say, of January. And from that, by the way, when that happens, you got preview events. You might have flown people to your studio, as we've seen with Spider-Man and Alan Wake, right? Like this content creator press package thing. You might have had people do that. You might even be giving codes out like within a few weeks, like by the middle of January, end of January, you should be giving codes out. So you do not have time, a lot of time at all. You have maybe like a 2-3 week window if you wait until Christmas or even like the Game Awards time. So that's what I'm starting to think. Like as time goes on, they might do something at the Game Awards, and then maybe you get a little something in mid-December. They're gone, and then January is just full on Suicide Squad, and then the game comes out. It's just out, and then we figure out what happens from there. So you let me know what you think in the comments. Make sure, as always, you're subscribed to the channel, bell icon turned on. I hope to see you all on the next one.